Oh, you are a producer, director, writer. You've produced so many amazing things, most notably the Imagineering Story, which we want so much more of. And your dad is Ub Iwerks, who developed the process for creating seamless live action with animated background, 360 camera work, and what we know as the circle vision. Your grandfather, Ub Iwerks, who we know for Mickey Mouse. And so many other things, inventor, animator, just an amazing person all around. So I just wanted people to kind of know, what is your favorite ride in any Disney park?
You know, I would probably say my favorite ride, if I could go back to any park in the world, would be the Pirates in Shanghai.
Oh, I've heard such good things about overseas and their rides. It's just so much more intricate and like more detail. You feel like you're in the movie. I can't imagine, because I already love these over here. So
yeah, it's state of the art. It's really they really pushed the original Pirates to a whole new level, modern level, today's technology, and it's just pretty seamless, and you know, they utilize every medium imaginable. So it's cool to see what they could do with that.
And then, do you have a favorite thing that you like to snack on, or a meal, or somewhere where you have to eat every time you go into a Disney park?
I'm a Dole Whip kind of gal. So I'm always like, if I go to Disneyland or Walt Disney World, I have to go get a Dole Whip. That's it.
Have you been able to try the Frescato at Wine Bar George in Disney Springs in Florida, where it's basically an adult version of a Dole Whip?
Really? No, I haven't.
You have to try it. It's so good.
I have to write this down.
Yes. I wanted to know your favorite Disney movie.
Oh man, fun facts. Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie, that's a classic.
Yeah, the Aristocats. I love that show. That one's a good one.
I love that one.
Tramp too. Those are two of my favorites.
Yes, I really wish that it was, I don't know if younger kids, like if they still get into those types of movies, but I know growing up, I was born in '88, I'm 32 years old, and I loved those movies. Those were the ones that caught my eye, and I miss that style of animation so much.
I do too. Wow, it was good. Classic.
I know you have traveled on all the continents, and you've been to, I think, most of the Disney parks, if not all of them. What would be your favorite Disney park? And if you're going to say Disneyland, what would it be besides Disneyland?
Well, I would say Disneyland, because that's where I grew up, you know. Yeah. And I would probably say, you know, I haven't been to Tokyo yet. So subtracting Tokyo, which I hear all the research I've done is just stunning. You know, I think Paris is beautiful. Like Paris is a really fun park. I'd like to go back. I've been several times to Paris Disneyland.
Oh yeah.
But you know, I'm also partial to Walt Disney World, so you know.
Yeah. Okay, so those were my Disney questions for you, and then I wanted to get into Selling Lies, which I think I watched that like 3 or 4 times over, and I wanted to know what do you want your audience to take away from this film?
Well, I think the number one motivation for me was to enlighten the American viewer as to what they're reading and where it's coming from. And when in 2016, there was a lot of articles about these teenagers in Macedonia who were kind of cracking the code of Facebook and getting into the fissures of where you could go into Facebook and actually create damage and spread a lot of fake news. And so I decided, you know, I wanted to know the truth. I wasn't sure because they weren't able to really interview a lot of these kids, right?
Right.
The media, because they wouldn't speak to them after a while. So I thought, well, why don't we just go there and see what we could do? So that's my DP and I just met in Macedonia and got off the plane, and we just started, you know, getting interviews with various people to sort of understand what was happening. And it was really an eye-opening opportunity for me to really get a sense of what people are doing to make
Yeah.
money. Most of these kids are your age or younger, and they're just trying to find ways to make money in a society that was hit hard by a depression.
Right.
Um, an industry that kind of had its bottom fell through, and so in a sense, you can look at it as an entrepreneurial venture and say they did well. They figured out how to
Yeah.
make money through a new opportunity.
Right.
Right. At the same time, it was through selling lies, and that is
Yeah.
not morally good.
No.
And it did get a lot of people in the U.S. to read these articles, whether they were pulled from these Breitbarts and Fox News and whatnot, and then re-manipulated with shocking headlines to get people
Right.
to click it. So it really opened my eyes into it gave a face to fake news. It took you behind the scenes to what these people were doing and how they were either totally fine with it or morally, guilty about it.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to tell this as a personal first person story. This was
Yeah.
told in as objective a way as I could tell it, because it was literally, you hear it from the point of view and out of the mouths of the people.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the problem is they think it's funny, right? And the fact is, it's not funny.
No.
It's horrible. And
Yeah.
and that toothpaste story with
With
Mirko's
the
wife
wife.
created a fake news article about the little color square you see at the bottom
Right.
back of your toothpaste tube. It's either red or black or green or blue or whatever. Anyway, she made up a story that was, whatever color that is, it means something. It's either healthy,
That was crazy to me.
partially toxic. And she put this fake news article out, and it got traction. And then she made over $100,000 just on that one article. And she laughs about it.
Yeah, it was a joke to
She
people
says,
believe this, and I made money.
right, don't blame me for this, please. Don't judge me for this, please. I'm like, you got to be kidding me,
Yeah.
For that. So it's a different world for sure. And I think the one thing that you mentioned that some people know my work and some people don't, and most of the people probably on your podcast will know me through the Disney documentaries that I've done on Pixar,
Right.
and Grandfather and Imagineering, but I do a lot of different subjects, whether they
Yes.
do environmental, or they do social issue documentaries, or they're human rights, or they're newsworthy kind of journalistic stories like this.
Yep.
My goal is to really enlighten people to what's happening in the world, and do it in a way that's compelling to watch, and
Yes.
really draws you into the human story.
I think selling lies was such a good eye opener, because with the fast access to social media, Twitter and Facebook, and things circulating so fast, you want to bring awareness, but you don't want to be saying the wrong thing and then putting up a fake news story. And I think it's so pertinent for any generation to really take a step back and do the research, or not just somebody tweeted something and, well, this is happening, we have to do something, but I like that people are active about it, and it seems like they are using their voice more. It's just we have to find the right what word we're spreading.
Your generation and the generation below you are the ones that are going to change this country. And it's I think the genie's out of the bottle when it comes to social media. It's going to take a united front between journalists and the government and legislation and the social media companies and the people themselves. To really fight back against this, because it's changing democracy as we see it. And I think the more education we can give people not to trust everything they read is going to be key. And also to, I have friends on both sides of the aisle, and I don't feel like this is, I know that the statistics have been that more fake news comes from the right, sort of conservative outlets, but it's coming from both sides big time. And so that's why this is not a partisan film. This is a
Right.
story about specific people who had an agenda because pro-Trump websites made more money.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I loved about it too. It's exactly like you said. It wasn't this side or that side. It's like, no, I mean, it's including everything, you know.
We have a Facebook site, Selling Lies documentary, and you know, it's fascinating to see the comments, you know, because what you start to see is that people don't listen to each other. And I think that that's where we're really falling down, is that we're not taking the time to really learn and be empathetic and say, is there truth in that?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and hear each other. So
It's-
somebody attacks Biden and says he lied, flat out lied during the election, during the campaign. I mean, the you know, the event the other night,
Yes.
the debate. Well, okay, did he lie? So literally somebody wrote that, and so I looked it up, and there were things that were not accurate that he said. And then, you know, but they won't say that Trump didn't lie.
Right.
They won't say that. So,
Yeah, you'll find that.
like, okay, well, can we just be honest that both of them said mistruths?
Yeah.
And you know, let's look at all of this right now and not be so entrenched in our own person. Like, we have to just look at it in a 360-degree way. So anyway.
No, it's so true. And I love that you said that, because I honestly have to turn Twitter off sometimes. I just have to like move the app out of my site, because I'll see such, you know, crazy things. If you support this side, then that means you're this. And if you support this side, that means you're that. And I've literally asked people before, I said, okay, can you show me where you heard this from? Or where are you getting this information? You know, not wanting to devalue anything they're saying, but I, in fact, want to know if it holds any weight to it. Because I think it's like you said, if we're not communicating and we're just shutting each other down, we're not getting anywhere, you know. And I think that's a huge problem, is the lack of communication and willing to say, okay, well, let me hear your side. Let me see where you got, you know, your information, and let me look that up for myself and come back to you. And it's an instant, no, I don't want to hear it. You're wrong. He said, she said type of thing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And it comes out tomorrow on Prime Video, iTunes, and Google Play.
And, you know, hopefully share what you see with your friends, and you know, tell them to go rent it or buy it. And you know, the key is to really just try to educate ahead of, you know, the disinformation campaign is ramping up in such a big way, and I think it's going to be an insane roller coaster over the next month leading up to the election.
Right.
So we can't believe everything we read or hear, and we just have to be really discerning. So
it's so true.
And before we speak, be sure we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. How, away from Selling Lies, and kind of to do with that, how did you get into documentaries versus having that family background of animators and doing animation instead of doing that? How did you get into the documentary industry?
Well, it was really by accident. It wasn't intentional, believe it or not. I went to film school at USC. I think because I grew up a little bit exposed to the film world through my dad. Who worked at Disney for 35 years, and he worked in the camera, you know, machine shop, and he was involved with different motion picture productions with Disney and the parks. And so I got kind of a backseat look at some of that, and it made me want. I had an art background as well. I was an artist, and I had my own business in college, and so I always thought, well, I'm going to combine art and film. Production designer and art director or something, and go to film school for that. So I got into USC, and I took my first art direction class, and I didn't like it. So I said, well, I'm glad I took that out of the gate. My first semester at USC, and I realized I wanted to actually not do one thing. I wanted to actually oversee all of it, like something that I can control the all aspects of the film.
Yes.
So graduated, and then worked as an director's assistant in movies on like Liar Liar, Nutty Professor, you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
In Universal movies, and got a real sense for big productions. And then I had this burning desire since I was, in way before film school, in probably junior high, that I wanted to tell my grandfather's story.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, do a documentary. And so I started preparing his life story and interviewing people.
Wow.
And I thought, if I don't do it now, I was one when he passed away, so I didn't know him. Everybody, my family and everybody had, known him.
They all knew him.
There's a big age difference between brothers, so they knew him too. And so we went to Roy and he said, he would support my effort to do a documentary, and they ended up funding it.
Wow.
And so we did that. And so that was such a passion project, and it was something that Disney really shepherded and got behind, and even put more money into it after seeing the first cut. And then it did so well that it traveled around the world, and I traveled with it, and I spoke about my grandfather, and it gave me this opportunity to kind of really share his story with so many people.
Yeah.
I went all the way to Hiroshima and spoke to people on stage.
Wow.
Went back to his father's home country in Udom in the Netherlands, and got to meet people that were from there. And
wow.
It was just a real kind of a spiritual experience for me.
I was going to say.
Yeah, so I got to meet so many people around the world that were real fans of his work and were touched by what he's
amazing.
done. Allowed me to get to know him in a way, and then learn about myself in the process. And feeling and the reaction that the film got. I mean, Disney actually submitted for an Academy Award. They felt it was that strong.
Wow.
Anyway, the experience just inspired me, to documentaries. Then I was offered another project in Guatemala by a friend who had a home there and was doing a film on the Guatemalan, Mayans and modern Maya culture. And so we went and shot some footage and did some experimenting. And then I came upon this book called Out of the Dump, and it was about these people living in the largest landfill in Central America. And he just basically, he said, let's do that. And I said, great. So we did that, and we filmed that over the next 2.5 years on and off in a garbage truck. And I'm glad I did it when I was younger, because it would be really hard today. I mean, like looking back, and what we saw and what we went through on that film was not easy looking back, but it was a story, and it was a story that I just thought, I have to make this film.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I wasn't making hardly any money on the film. I mean, we were like just scraping, but I shot it around, I did editing, I did all the translation type work with the translator, and it was a long process, and you don't always know what the outcome's going to be or if you're going to be successful, but that was kind of my first learning curve. And just do something, if you believe in it, you don't know the outcome yet, but just stay with it and make it as good as you can make it if you believe in it. And so finally we finished it, and then it gets nominated for an Academy Award, and
love that.
Raised over $3 million to help raise so Safe Path Foundation, and they built a school in right outside the garbage dump to help these kids get out.
Wow, I didn't know that.
In education, so it's super gratifying, and I think that just was kind of the spark. And then
you kept going.
We all saw that, my work, and they said, do the Pixar story for us, and kept going. So
that's amazing. I love how it just snowballed into you continuing on with that, and you're telling these human stories, and honestly, the things people always wonder, or they may not even know. Like I said, I didn't even know that was going on over there, and I think those stories need to be told and heard. I'm actually out here in Kansas City. I moved here a year ago, and I want to go to Marceline and then just explore all those places, because your grandfather was out here as well.
Well, I Kansas City for the making of Behind the Mouse, and did a lot of filming there. It's a special city, and I'll have to come back. It's been a while.
I appreciate you talking about all this stuff, and I hope it gives viewers an insight more into you and your amazing work.
Thank you. Thanks for everything.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay.